So in a weird way, I feel like the video game Skyrim and the video game Animal Crossing, like if they had a board game baby together, I feel like it would be this game. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel today. My name is Carly, and today we are going to be reviewing the 1-to-4 player game Mythwind from Open Owl Studios. Mythwind is a 1-to-4 player open-ended cooperative game where players will be taking on the role of specific characters, kind of diving into this world. You will be uncovering secrets, you'll be interacting with the fairies and sprites that live kind of in this land, and you'll be working together to kind of build up your village. This game is kind of interesting because it actually doesn't really have an end. The way they've described it is you can just continue to play as long as you want to, basically going through and kind of completing your objectives and exploring the story that is found within this game. Now, I've been super interested in playing Mythwind. The cover and the mechanics that are kind of found throughout this game really, they seemed really intriguing to me. So when Open Owl Studios offered to send me this copy of the game, I was like, yes, please. Like, I really want to dive into this and to share my thoughts and kind of see what this game is all about. Because truthfully, I've heard kind of a lot of mixed things in regards to this game. So that was kind of something that I wanted to mention, was primarily the things that I've heard about this game. People have been saying that this game works best as a solo game and plays really good solo. So with this review today, I want you to know that I have only played Mythwind solo. So my thoughts and my ratings today, it's going to come at you from the perspective of playing Mythwind as a solo game. I have not played this multiplayer, and truthfully, after playing this solo, I don't think I would really want to play this multiplayer. I think that Mythwind personally is, I mean, I guess you could play it with two. I would never play it with more, but personally, I think Mythwind does play best as a solo game. So that's kind of what my review is going to be for you today. It's Mythwind as a solo game and kind of what my thoughts were playing this. I am going to be kind of changing up my review a little bit today for this game. I know normally I kind of jump into an overview of how to play. I'm actually not going to be doing that today. What I'm actually going to be doing instead is I'm going to be unboxing this, setting it up kind of live on camera for you, so you can kind of see, because it's really interesting the way that this is all packaged up. So I kind of wanted to show that live on camera. But also this game is kind of a hard one to explain because you are taking on the role of characters, and every character is it plays widely different. So we'll kind of get into that in a little bit, but let's just go ahead and unbox Mythwind, get it set up on the table. I'm just gonna kind of briefly explain how to play, and then I'm gonna be going into my final thoughts on Mythwind. So Open Owl Studios, they sent me, this is the core box, and then they also sent the expansion, which is Expanded Horizons. So in this game, I'm gonna go ahead and start unboxing this for you. Like I mentioned before, you're actually going to be taking on the role of certain characters that are found throughout this game, and it's interesting because this storage solution is absolutely incredible. I'm just gonna start by saying that every single character has their own personal tray that when you're ready to package up this game and put it away, you just package up the whole tray, and so next time when you go to pull it out, you just take out what character you want to play that day. So I actually have been primarily playing as the crafter. I posted like a poll on my Instagram, and everybody voted, well, the majority voted for the crafter, so that's actually who I was going into and playing this game with, was the crafter. There are a handful of other characters that are included in the base game. So there's the merchant, which is shown right here. There is the farmer. I hope the glare isn't too bad on that. If it is, then I'll post separate pictures of them. But then the ranger. So those are the 4 characters that are included in the base game. But that's not the only tray that you get. You actually get this tray right here, which this tray is kind of like the main board. So I'm gonna show you how simple this is. All you do is you pop this lid off. I'm gonna slide that over there, and you pull out these kind of 3 trays. I don't want to tilt them too much without dropping everything that's inside. But you go ahead and you lay out these trays just like so. and boom. And it's so nice because as you play this game, which we'll talk about, you will be like slowly upgrading this board. So when it comes time for you to, if you decide to stop the game, all you do is just pack everything back up, and then when you take it out again, you lay everything out and everything is exactly the way you left it, which I am just obsessed with. The bottom of this tray, this kind of has the coins, the tokens, event cards, weather deck, everything that you basically need to play. So you just kind of set that underneath this board here, like so. And then the way that I've been playing is you just take your character tray, then pop open the lid, and you just set that right beside this tray. And then you basically are ready to play at this point. That's literally set up. With this kind of being a story-based game, I don't really want to reveal too much, so I'm just gonna kind of generally explain how this operates and how this works. So like I mentioned before, you're gonna be taking on the role of a character. Every single character plays differently. So the crafter, it's a little bit of like a bag building kind of system that you're gonna be working with. The ranger, I believe, is deck building, or has a little bit of deck building in it. The farmer it's like polyomino. You're gonna be like planting out your crops kind of like in a polyomino space. And then the merchant has to do with like fluctuating markets a little bit. You have to learn that character along with the base game. Every round or every day has 3 distinct phases. The first is the dawn phase, the second is the day phase, and then the final is the dusk phase. Now what a round looks like may look slightly different for every character, so I'm kind of coming at you with the perspective of playing as the crafter. So playing as the crafter during the dawn phase, primarily the only thing that's really going to trigger is this weather deck here. With the weather deck, you basically will pick up the very first card, flip it over, and it kind of just indicates what the weather is like for that day. Sometimes certain things will like activate or trigger. Then you move into the daytime phase, and during the daytime phase, that's when you kind of do this worker placement section on this main board here. You take your little worker, place it onto a certain location, and then you do whatever it says. Some of these locations allow you to go on adventures, so you have a little adventure deck here that you will slowly be working towards. Basically, it helps unveil kind of the story or what's happening within Mythwind Valley. There are certain locations that allow you to build buildings. All of these buildings that you're able to build on this main board here, they all unlock more spaces for you to place your worker on. They basically just help unlock new spots you could go to. After you've completed your action on the main board, then it goes to your specific character action. At least for me, the crafter, that's when I was able to do my portion of the game. What I would do is you can choose to restock or sell some of your goods that you have in your little craft space at the time. Then I could gather materials, which basically means select one of these materials, adding them to a bag. Then I'm able to gather materials, so then I reach into that bag, pull out 3 items, and add them to my workshop area. And then I can also refine materials, which means I can take materials and I can again refine them or increase their value. So I was just building out my workshop, building up my little items and trying to make them more valuable so at a future turn I could sell them for more profit. After you do all that, then it kind of comes time for your little workers. Your workers now activate at this moment. So I could take these workers. If I had hired them, then I could use them, placing them on certain locations that basically just help activate more actions for me. After doing that, that concludes the day phase, and then it goes to the dawn phase. The dawn phase is basically kind of resetting for the next day. As the crafter, I actually had one more action that I could do at the end of the dusk phase if I wanted to, and that was to be able to fulfill requests. So if anybody within the village had any specific items that they were kind of looking for or wanting to order from me, and I had the specific items that were needed, then I could actually go through and perform those requests at that time, basically spending those items to gain those coins. Hey, dude. After I've done that though, then that is basically the end of the dusk phase, and then a new day starts. Again, you begin a new day by revealing a new weather card. So that is kind of essentially, as the crafter, that's what my typical days would look like. I only have dived into this game as the crafter. So there are 3 other characters that I have yet to explore, and I know that they do wildly different stuff than the crafter. And then this expansion, this expanded horizons, it actually comes with another character, which is the innkeeper. I've yet to explore what this innkeeper does, but it looks really interesting. So let's go ahead and kind of show her off a little bit so you can kind of see what she does. So this is the innkeeper. So this expansion basically just offers another character that you can dive into this game as. So I hope that kind of gives you a general idea of how this game plays. But going ahead, we're going to go ahead and jump into kind of my thoughts on Mythwind, starting with what I liked about it. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I feel like this game is kind of a mix of like the theme of Skyrim, but also the mechanics of like Animal Crossing a little bit, and I definitely get those vibes from this game. In Animal Crossing, you really don't have like a point to the game. You basically are just kind of going out, exploring, interacting with the characters, building up your little village. I can't tell you, I have spent hours on Animal Crossing just picking weeds. Why? Because I don't want weeds in my village? I don't know, like there's not really like a rhyme or a reason to Animal Crossing, yet I love it. And I kind of feel that way a little bit with this game. Is there is no big overarching story. However, I like the grind in this game. I really like just kind of doing my own little personal thing and slowly building up the village. That's like my favorite thing in this game personally, is like being able to unlock or build certain houses, or like being able to slowly grow my village as I'm like, trying my best to make the most money I can so I can afford these houses and kind of build them up. People have described this game as like cozy. This is such a cozy game for me. This is a game that I just want to sit down and just like get all like warmed up with a blanket and just put on pretty music and just play. Like it's just kind of like cathartic almost. It's just like such a relaxing, fun experience, honestly. I also really love the story in this game, the little like adventure cards or event cards that would kind of come up throughout the game. Now I will say that the story is not super strong. Like I said, it's kind of more just like little hits, it kind of gives you a little bit of like a taste, or a little bit of like a story hit almost, like every single time that those uncover, and you're kind of learning about the sprites, so you're learning about the world. I'm going to talk about production here for a minute. I am obsessed with the production in this game. I love how, if you have a character, I guess it's kind of similar to like Foundations of Rome, where like you just hand everybody their tray and that's everything that they need. So I love that they have something like that in this game, where everything, it like all fits together perfectly. And even like when you first get this game, it's a little bit of a beast to set up because there's so many punch boards that you have to go through. But even like the punch boards, they're all like labeled exactly where things go, and in the individual like player books, it shows you exactly what you need to do. Like if this is the first time you're setting up the game, it shows you exactly how to set it up. So if it didn't have that, setup would have felt very overwhelming, but because of all those little like hints and tips that they had already in this game, the setup really was so easy. There's a lot of little touches that you could show they were really paying attention. Like for example, these cards here, and truthfully everywhere on the board, they have like little grooves underneath each of these cards, so if you do need to like swap this card out, if you're able to upgrade the chapel, for example, all you do is press down on a corner. It makes it so easy when you're like switching out cards. It worked so well. And again, when you're done with the game, it's like so easy just to clean it up, and then when you want to take it out, it's so quick and easy just to take it out again, like I kind of showed you on camera. There is a little bit of overhead in this game. We'll talk about that in a minute. But once you know your character, and once you like understand the game, like I'm able to knock out like a session on this, like a round, in like less than a half an hour. Like it's just really easy to dive into once you understand it. It's fun, like as you're diving into the story, sometimes the events in the story actually kind of manipulate a little bit like what's on the board here. Like for example, I once ran into some, I think it was like rock golems, and they helped me assemble my lumber yard, so I was able just to quickly build my lumber yard. It felt like you were like slowly building up this land. It felt like you were slowly building up this world. I love how every character has different mechanics found throughout it. So this game, mean, it can get to the point where you understand or you have learned all the characters. Well, every time you open this game, you can choose kind of what mini game you want to kind of be working with. Do you want to do a polyomino? Do you want to do kind of more of a bag building? Do you want to do kind of more of like a little bit of like a deck building game? So it kind of changes up. I mean, you can get to the point where every time you play this game, you're doing something slightly differently, kind of interacting with the board in a slightly different way. So I love that variability. It kind of reminded me of like Merchant's Cove a little bit, how, you know, in Merchant's Cove you take on a character and you're kind of doing something different than everybody else around the table. This game kind of, it gives similar vibes to that, which I really liked. So now we're going to kind of jump into some of the stuff that I didn't like about this game, or stuff that I could potentially see others not liking. And I kind of want to preface this a little bit, is at the time of me posting this video, Open Owl Studios is actually set to launch an expansion or something new for Mythwind. There's going to be an upcoming Kickstarter for it. And having said that, I was able to kind of look on their page a little bit, and they kind of made a really kind of quick announcement about what they are anticipating for this upcoming expansion or this upcoming Kickstarter. And I'm really excited about what it is, because I think a few of my concerns that I have with this game will actually be addressed in that Kickstarter. So as I talk about the stuff that I didn't like, I'm going to kind of point out the changes that I think they're going to be doing to this game, or what they're going to be adding onto it in the upcoming Kickstarter. So just kind of keep that in mind. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, which in my opinion was the biggest thing, was I feel like the lack of interaction with the characters was a really big letdown for me. I really wanted, I really wanted more interaction. I wanted like the things that I personally was doing as the crafter. I wish that I personally was able to manipulate the board in ways that other people couldn't, because then it would make me feel like I was kind of bringing something unique to the game. I was bringing something unique to the board. I wish, like me as the crafter, I was able to craft the supplies that then the ranger could pick up and use on his adventures. Like, if there was that level of interaction, I would absolutely play this game with more people. But because there isn't that interaction, I would only, as the game is currently right now in front of me, I would only ever play this as a solo game. And even as a solo game, it would be so cool if like I could do a round as the crafter, and I could like build something up, and then I could jump over, like I kind of mentioned before, I could jump over to like the ranger, for example, and then I could take all that stuff that I just produced into the village from the crafter, and I could take that stuff and I could go on adventure. It would make it really layering and really interesting. However, having said that, and I just kind of talked about the Kickstarter, I believe that the upcoming Kickstarter for this game is actually addressing that. I believe that it's going to be adding that level of interaction between the characters, which I really hope it does, because I think that this game would be fantastic if it had kind of that level of interaction, or stuff that, you know, every character was bringing something specific to this board that nobody else could, that you could then interact with and pull from. It would kind of help add that like push and pull a little bit. This game is interesting because it's kind of touted as you could play this game as long as you want, and there's no real ending. But at the same time, I mean, there is an ending to this game. There's only so many buildings that you can produce. There's only so far that you can upgrade your characters. And kind of coming back to the buildings and the characters, I feel like you kind of do all this work to upgrade them, and I personally don't really see a huge payoff. You don't really feel like, oh, I can do all these amazing things now, or even like the buildings. As you spent time building the buildings, I loved thematically building out the buildings, and that was kind of like my drive. That was like kind of what kept pushing me and bringing me back into the game, honestly, because I just wanted to build out the village. I just wanted to build buildings. But the more buildings I built, I was like, I feel like they weren't really giving me too, like, I guess I just didn't really have a huge drive to visit some of the buildings most of the time. And that might change. There are a lot of buildings that I haven't gone through, and lots of these buildings that could be upgraded. But I was kind of hoping a little bit more from the buildings. I was hoping that they would kind of have more of a drive, or be able to have me do really cool things with them. I will also say that there is a decent amount of overhead in this game. There is kind of a lot that you have to learn to get to the point where rounds are really quick. You have this decent sized rulebook that you have to go through just to learn kind of this base game here. And then you have a separate rulebook that you have to go through to learn your separate like individual character. So again, that's another reason why I wouldn't play this other than solo personally, or maybe 2 players, because I mean, you have a lot that you have to learn through, and it would be really hard. It would be so hard to break this out with 4 players that have never played this game, trying to get them to learn their characters. Typically, like if a game is really hard to learn and there's a lot going on, that payoff has got to be there, right? Like the payoff has got to be worth all of the effort. For me, this is a very simple kind of cozy game, and now that I've learned it, like I'm really happy that I put in the work to learn this game, because it's just like a fun, cozy game that I've really enjoyed taking off the shelf. But I can also see how some people would grind through all those rules, learn their character, and feel like the payoff isn't enough. So that kind of ratio of like rules overhead to like payoff, it's a little bit skewed in my opinion. There's a lot of rules, very much like I keep referring it to Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley. It has that vibe. So if you enjoy those games, then you very well might enjoy this. But if you approach Animal Crossing like there's nothing to do, or it's kind of boring or kind of grindy, you really have to like the grind in this game. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying, is you have to like kind of doing your little mini game and then slowly kind of, and it's very slow, kind of like building up your character, building up the village. All right, so kind of coming into my final thoughts now on Mythwind. So despite the handful of kind of issues or problems that I found with the game, I still really enjoyed this one. I found, like, if I had, obviously I don't have it like a nice gaming table, I wish I did. If I did have a gaming table, this is a game that I would just leave set up for like a month or so. For whatever reason, I keep wanting to dive into this game, despite my handful of issues with it, which again, with the upcoming Kickstarter, they might address a lot of the kind of issues that I kind of had with this game. But like the coziness level up, like this is like a comfort game to me. This is a game that I have been wanting, like I keep pulling it off the shelf just because it's simple, it's cozy. And now that I've gotten to the point where I know it, I can knock out a round. I think I mentioned this before. I can knock out a round in like less than 30 minutes. So like before bed, I've been doing this. Like I get the kids down and, I get my cleaning done and I'm like, okay, I don't have enough, like I'm so tired. I don't have enough, like a bunch of time to knock out a longer game. Let's just knock out a quick game of Mythwind. And the fact that I'm able just to take this and just as quickly set it up, like I can set it up, dive in really quick. I get, a little little of the story. I can kind of interact a little bit with the world. I can build up, or work towards building up a new building in my village. Okay, I've done that. Let's just package it up and put it away. Like it's just, I don't know. For me personally, again, approaching it as a solo game, I think it's actually really, really endearing. I feel like I'm kind of in between a 7.5 and an 8. I am going to give this game an 8 though, because this is a game that I just, for whatever reason, I just keep kind of wanting to pull it off the shelf and keep interacting with it. Now that I've learned the crafter, I'm going to go through and I'm going to play and learn all of these side characters, because I really want to get to the point in this game where I know all the characters and I'm able just to sit down and take out whatever, puzzle or character that I want to be playing as during that day or during that round. All right, so those are my thoughts on Mythwind from Open Owl Studios. Huge shout out to Open Owl Studios for sending all of this content for me to kind of dive into and share my thoughts with you today. If you have played Mythwind, please let me know what your thoughts are in this game in the comments below. And if you haven't yet subscribed, it would mean so much if you could do that. It really helps kind of support me and everything that we're doing over here on the channel. But until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and we'll see you later. In Mythwind, you're actually going to be taking on the role of a specific character that is within this kind of like village that you'll be working,